What's up guys, so by popular demand I'm back doing another ranking video, and this is kind of a part 2. So before the 2020 season started, I ranked Hersheypark's coasters, so that was before Candymonium was open, and I've gotten a lot of requests to rank the coasters again with Candymonium added into the mix. Plus my opinion on a few of the coasters has changed a little bit from the 2020 season, so I'm going to go over all those changes with the rankings today. Now before we get started, if you haven't done so yet, please hit that subscribe button down below. That really helps my channel fight against the YouTube algorithm. Not this guy again. Okay, now what do you want?
That's right, Ryan. I'm watching your subscriber count and your video likes.
Guys, I really might need your help with this one.
Not recommended.
No, wait, please, no! Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's dive right on in. I do want to mention that I'm not going to mention Breaker's Edge water coaster in this list, because I don't really see it as a coaster.
Excuse me, Breaker's Edge is a roller coaster. Educate yourself, Ryan.
Okay, yeah, look on RCDB, it's not there.
As if. I'll look it up right now. What? You saw nothing. Nothing ever happened. Bye.
Alright, bottom of the list at number 14 would be Coco Cruiser, and this also ranked at the bottom of the list from last year. Nothing has really changed about my opinion on this coaster. It's just a family coaster. Nothing special about it, really. Number 13 on the list would be Wild Mouse, and I think this is also in the same spot as last year's. I will say that my rides on Wild Mouse in 2020 were a little bit better than my rides in 2019. I don't know, just something about it just felt a little bit faster. But still, comparing it to the rest of the rides at Hersheypark, I still feel like this is more of a bottom tier coaster at the park. Alright, number 12 on the list, and this may upset a few people, but I'm just giving you my honest opinion here. Number 12 would be Laugh Track, or as I like to call it,
Lame track.
I swear the spinning on this thing is throttled or something, or at least when I'm riding it, this thing just does not spin. And the weird thing is that I've heard a lot of people say that this thing spins like crazy for them, and this is one of the craziest spinning coasters that they have ever been on. But I just never had an experience like that on this ride. And plus, this thing always has a long line, and even with the reduced crowds in 2020, this thing still had a ridiculously long line. I mean, there were some days when the park was empty, it was a few minute wait, and I was willing to do it then. But even so, I just feel like this ride doesn't really rank up to the rest of the coasters at the park. Maybe if I get some rides in this thing in the future and it will actually spin for me, I'll rank it a little bit higher on the list, but until then, it's going to stay kind of low on the list for me.
Oh, really? You want spinning? You got it.
Oh god! Alright, number 11 on the list would be Trailblazer. Yes, I'm putting Trailblazer higher than Laugh Track, and at this point, I'm just doing it out of spite.
You're not really fun.
Alright, number 10 on the list would be Sidewinder.
Boomerang!
Thank you, Logan. So I got a lot of rides in Sidewinder in the 2020 season, and while it's still not the best ride in the park, I still think it's a lot of fun. It's definitely the best boomerang that I've been on, at least the smoothest one, and the rest restraints are just a lifesaver on this ride. I just think it's a simply fun, but intense ride, so I really enjoy it. Number 9 on the list would be Super Duper Looper, and I was said that I wasn't able to get any rides on this ride in 2020. It's a very enjoyable ride. It's super smooth. I love the Gerstlauer trains on this ride. On the loop, you can pull some pretty serious positive views on it. I mean, nothing crazy, but pretty surprising. Number 8 on the list would be Wildcat. The retracking work that they did on this ride during the off-season between 2019 and 2020 really worked some wonders on this ride. It's still a little bit rough and it has some rough patches to it, but the most noticeable improvement is at the bottom of the first hill. This part used to be incredibly rough, no matter where you sat. After the retracking work that they did, this is probably the smoothest part of the ride, and it's actually pretty fun. So last year I said that this was a back row coaster, but my opinion has changed on this. I think this is definitely more of a front row ride. It's just significantly smoother in the front, and I feel like Wildcat runs the best during the night. I don't know why, I think it just runs a little bit faster, but when it's going faster, it's a little bit rougher, but not too bad though. Alright, number 7 on the list would be Lightning Racer.
Team Thunder. No, Team Lightning.
Don't fight. So Lightning Racer seems to be a very polarized GCI coaster in the coaster community. Some people seem to love this thing to death, and some people think that it's just flat out boring. I think it really depends on when you ride this ride. This ride is the absolute best during the fall time at night. For whatever reason, during the cooler months, this thing just runs so much faster, and especially at night. If you can get a rain ride on this thing, get a rain ride on this thing at night. This thing was running very fast. Last year I ranked Lightning Racer at number 8, and it's gone up one spot. Also, by the way, Team Lightning. Alright, the rest of these rankings, it's going to get a little bit interesting. So for my number 6 spot, I never would have thought I would rank this coaster below my top 5, but after getting a lot of rides in it in 2020, my opinion has kind of gone down a little bit. At my number 6 spot would be Great Bear. So don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Great Bear. It's a super unique ride, especially for it being an invert, and I still think it's a pretty underrated coaster. But as much as I hate saying this, the more that I rode it in 2020, the less and less I was impressed with the ride. I just feel like it meanders a little bit, there's a lot of straight courses, and it's kind of on the shorter side of ride time, and the ending of the ride is kind of a buzzkill for me. Just meandering, doing a little S-bend going back into the brake run. Now, I know that this would never happen, but I think it would be really cool if one day that they could reprofile the end of this ride to make it more like a slow inline twist, kind of like how Banshee at Kings Island ends. But I'm like 110% sure that that's never going to happen. There's no reason why Hersheypark would ever want to spend that kind of money to reprofile the end of the ride. The ride is still very popular in the park, so there is no reason why Hersheypark would ever do something that drastic to the ride. Alright, for my number 5 spot, and I never thought I would ever rank this coaster higher than Great Bear, but I got so many amazing rides in this ride in 2020, I simply had to do it. At number 5 is Comet. So just like Wildcat and Lightning Racer, this ride really shines at night. Especially during the colder months, this thing just runs so much better. There were a few weekends at Hersheypark in the dark in 2020 where it was raining pretty good at night, and I got so many nighttime rain rides on this thing. And I gotta say, these nighttime rain rides I got in Comet are some of my favorite memories as a coaster enthusiast. Just riding Comet at night and with the rain just pelting down on you and I'm just riding with a bunch of friends, I just had an absolute blast on this, and I think that could be one of my biggest highlights of the entire year. And I just think in general that this is a very underrated PTC coaster. I think that this thing deserves a lot more praise and attention than it gets in the community. Also, fun fact, this is the last remaining coaster at Hersheypark that was purchased by Milton Hershey himself.
That's right, I even signed the check myself.
Well, thank you, kind sir.
Oh yeah, watch out for comments.
Alrighty, it's time to piss some people off. Stormrunner and Fahrenheit have always been neck and neck for me as long as I've been going to Hersheypark. They've been just always fighting between which one I like them better, but Stormrunner has always been a little bit better in my eyes over Fahrenheit. At least, until now. My number 4 spot would be Stormrunner. What the? Look, I know. It's hard to believe, and I never thought I would ever do this myself, but let me just explain for a second now. Oh God. Okay, look. I really love Stormrunner. It is a fantastic ride, and to this day, it's still my favorite launching coaster. Even better than King the Ka or Top Throw Daxter. Yes, I said it. But where this ride really falls short for me is just the fact that it is such a short ride. I feel like the entire experience is just like half a coaster experience, if even. But what Stormrunner does in its very short layout is absolutely phenomenal, and it has a few elements on it that you just don't see on any other coasters. Hopefully Stormrunner opens in 2021, and I can get plenty more rides on this thing. And who knows, maybe my opinion will change on the ride after I get more rides in this thing, but as of right now, I just don't think it really quite stacks up compared to Fahrenheit. Which brings us to our number 3 spot, which will be Fahrenheit. Okay, for real though, my love for this ride really grew in 2020. Between Stormrunner being closed and I didn't really have Stormrunner to compare Fahrenheit to, and the crowds being significantly less during the 2020 season, Fahrenheit was practically a walk-on during a lot of my visits to the park in 2020, and there were quite a few days where I was able to marathon this thing, like stay in my seat and ride this thing multiple times over and over again. And that's honestly an unheard of thing for this ride, because this normally has one of the longest lines in the park on a regular year. So being able to ride it so many more times than usual and not having Stormrunner to compare it to, I really got to analyze the coaster a lot better and get a better understanding for the coaster. So first of all, the first drop in the back row is absolutely all the inversions are very fun, especially the last 2 corkscrews, they're pretty whippy. And that final airtime hill, that is such an underrated element, just in general. I think that that's an elite airtime moment. Yeah, I said it, an elite airtime moment. And I don't know why people don't talk about this airtime hill. Whether you're in the front or in the back row, it is just pure, solid ejector. And I absolutely love this little airtime hill at the end. I really feel like that Fahrenheit is outshined by the other coasters at Hersheypark. I feel like if Fahrenheit was at a smaller park with not as many coasters, then this would be the premier coaster at that park. So yes, as of right now, I like Fahrenheit a little bit more than Stormrunner, but as I said before, we'll see if that changes this year. Alright, we're down to the last 2, and this is really tough for me to pick. It's between Candymonium and Skyrush. So all of 2020, I was kind of going back and forth as to which one I liked better, and I even made a vlog earlier in the season saying that Candymonium was my favorite coaster, but that was only at the time. And a few days later, I kind of think I like Skyrush a little bit better, and I just went back and forth all season. And honestly, I don't even know what I'm about to tell you. When I was planning this video out, I still could not pick which one I like better. So let's just take a moment and just meditate on it. What the? Dude, what are you doing? Fine. Doing? Okay, just stop everything for a second. Can you play something that's a little bit less anxiety-inducing? I can't think with that kind of crap going on in the background. Thank you.
Hersheypark happy, Hersheypark glad.
Alright, number 2 would be Candymonium. So as of right now, I have 141 rides on this coaster, and I never get tired of this ride. This is exactly what Hersheypark needed in its lineup. And I think that this is just a great coaster to have in the very front of the park, a part of the new entrance. It's just an amazing thing to greet guests as they're walking into the park. And it's just a photogenic ride, and everything about it is just awesome. The pacing on this ride is absolutely perfect. The airtime is solid, especially on the first Camelback hill in the front row. That is borderline ejector, and that's weird for a B&M Hyper. And also the speed hill too in the front row, another borderline ejector moment. Then the twisted airtime hill after the helix is just something very unique and something you don't see very often on the B&M Hyper. The finale is not the best, but it's more of a scenic thing going around the Kisses fountain, and I still think it's pretty fun. It doesn't do very much when it comes to G-forces or airtime, but I think it's still a very fun finale for the ride. And I know a lot of Hersheypark locals were a little bit upset about this addition to the park, but honestly, I couldn't be happier with the ride. However, I don't think it's quite as good as my number 1 coaster at Hersheypark, which would be Skyrush. And I put this at number 1 simply because I don't think there's anything else like this in the country. This is kind of a one-of-a-kind coaster. There's only one other model that's similar to it, which is Flying Aces at Abu Dhabi, but that is so far away. There's nothing even remotely close to Skyrush that is like it. The first drop is just pure evil, and I love everything about that. The airtime in this ride is probably the most aggressive and violent airtime that I have ever experienced on a coaster. It may not have the most airtime on a coaster that I've been on, but it's definitely the most violent. Best spot in this ride is definitely back row left wing seat. I feel that is the best spot on the ride, and you're going to get the craziest ride experience in that spot. And yes, I know a lot of people complain about the restraints crushing your thighs, and it is a little bit uncomfortable for me, but it doesn't really bother me all that much. But I know this is a very subjective thing, and people will just seem to have very different experiences on this ride, and I completely understand that. And if you don't like Skyrush, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to hate you over it. I'm not one of those coaster enthusiasts that's going to be all offended by your opinion. So here's a little word of advice about riding Skyrush. Don't ragdoll on it. I did that once when I was marathoning it, and my spine hated me for a week afterwards. Well, there you have it, guys. That is my updated ranking of the coasters at Hersheypark. How would you guys rank these coasters? Comment down below. Have they changed at all during the 2020 season? Where do you put Candymonium in your rankings for the park? Is it your number 1? Is it not quite your number 1? Just comment down below. I would love to talk with you guys. And as I said in the beginning of the video, that I've been getting a lot of requests to do more ranking videos, so comment down below what parks you want to see me do more rankings at. Alright guys, I wrapped the video up here. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next week. Time for revenge.
Oh, no.
Don't tell anyone, but I haven't ridden Storm Runner yet. I love Fahrenheit. I agree.
I also want to individually shout out to everybody who was a part of this video and sent me videos. I had an absolute blast making this video with you guys and including you guys in the video. I absolutely want to do a lot more videos like this in the future. If you don't follow me on Instagram, here's my Instagram right here. And keep an eye on that, and I'll be doing plenty more videos like this where I'm including a lot of you guys in them. So here's all my shout outs. Hershey Addict, Life of Gallium, Caitlin Hahn, Rushing Thrills, Rico the Epic Penguin, Insane Coaster Junkie, Coaster Camaraderie, The Coaster Dude 808, Coaster Travel, Philly Joey, Lateral Thrills, Coaster Viking 305, Tuba Dude 121, and Ryan Powell 825. So thank you to all of you guys who are a part of this video. I'll be doing a lot more stuff like this, so just keep an eye out on my Instagram for that. Alright, now I'm going to wrap it up. Catch you in the next loop.